Today I'm with Tom Edwards, and you're running for the Alabama Supreme Court.
I am. I'm place number 2.
Place number 2. Would you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Okay. Well, Ricky, I'm been practicing law for about 20-something years. I'm a small-town lawyer from Wetumpka originally, and been practicing in the last 6 years in Montgomery. I have a lot of extensive experience in courtroom practice. I mainly represent people that have been hurt or harmed, and I've been doing that, but I do a broad practice. I've done criminal defense work. I've done prosecution of criminal cases when I worked for was a city lawyer, and I've done every kind of practically about every kind of lawyer and case that anybody could ever take on. I really have.
What are some of the duties of the Alabama Supreme Court for those that don't realize it?
Okay. Well, the main duty of the Supreme Court is that it's the highest court in the state. It's our final authority when you deal with issues that come up and from every kind of aspect of the law, whether it be juvenile, probate, or criminal, or civil. Everything goes before it, and basically it's a place of review. And essentially how cases get up there to the court is that somebody questions whether or not the law was properly applied in a trial court setting. And they have some question about whether that had been done. And it goes up to the court to be reviewed to see if the law was applied appropriately in the trial court level. And cases come up for appellate review. They're brought up on specific issues. And so there may be a question about whether there was an evidentiary issue, or there may be a question of whether the judge applied the appropriate law for this specific case and fact scenario. Sometimes we have new facts that come up and new scenarios that come up that take a twist to the law, and they need advisement and or decisions about what is the appropriate place. So it's where the law really gets flushed out and becomes a part of the body of law that we use in governing our society.
You've been elected by your peers as chairman of the trial lawyers?
Well, president. I was a past president of the Alabama Trial Lawyers. It's now known as the Alabama Association for Justice. It was a 6-year rotation. I was also elected on the national level to be on the executive committee of the American Association for Justice, and was selected by the peers of all the state presidents of all the associations as the president of the state president's council, which is a pretty big honor as well. So I've been pretty active on the national and state level.
If you would tell our audience why they should vote Tom Edwards.
Well, essentially it comes down to this. We're in a time where our court has been truly overloaded one way in the world. We've got an 8-to-1 court, 8-to-1 currently Republican. But what's really happened is we've seen a shift. You've seen times where the court seemed to have been controlled by certain groups, and now it's being controlled by other groups. That's the appearance. That's what's happening. For most of us in the law, we believe that balance is appropriate. We need to have balance on the court where different opinions are expressed and we can work out things. We think that's a much better way of creating law, but more importantly, of reviewing law so that both sides or all sides are heard. So I'm running for that to restore some balance to the court, but mainly I'm running to try to bring some integrity back to this court. This court has had more articles written about it in the last 2 years than any court in history in our state. The last 2 years, we've counted somewhere between 20 to 30 different articles over separate instances where there's been editorials or news articles or national publications questioning the integrity of our Alabama Supreme Court. Just yesterday, the Birmingham News called for further investigations of the Alabama Supreme Court. They've been under investigation now since August for charges of corruption involving Governor Riley's influence over these gambling cases with them. There's some things that are going on that's just not right when you hear that. The power of money, the questions about whether justice is for sale. There's been 2 national articles, Harper's Magazine, New Republic, have all written articles in the last 2 years asking questions, is justice for sale in Alabama? Alabama spends more on judicial elections than any other state in the nation, way more than any state of size. And if you were to take Alabama and you would cut what we spend on judicial elections in half, you still would not reach the next lowest state. The next most expensive state is Pennsylvania, a state of 3 times the size of Alabama. The one below that, the third place state, is Ohio, 3.5 times the size of Alabama. The media markets in Philadelphia or in Cleveland are very expensive compared to Alabama. And yet we spend more money in Alabama on judicial elections than any other state. People wonder why. Does that have something to do with it? Does big verdicts like the Exxon being overturned and the Supreme Court rewriting the fraud laws in Alabama to protect Exxon, those raise a lot of questions in people's minds. Now, I'm not saying there's any kind of a real quid pro quo there, but there is enough that you begin to wonder if something isn't going on. And the sad part of it is, you know, when you have a court that's 8-to-1 overloaded and you see multiple things and you hear multiple articles and there's so many questions and challenging the integrity of our court, then you just come to a place it's time for a change.
Tom Edwards, Alabama Supreme Court, and vote November 2nd.
November the 2nd.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.